Hey guys, it's your humble host, or Q if you prefer, so I'm back with another video. Now, for those of you who've been on my channel for a while, you know I don't cover anything really anime related, episodes, characters. It's just my thing, and I'm not really invested in the anime all that much. I like some shows, but I'm not what you call a weeaboo or anime enthusiast or viewer. But this particular situation, I keep seeing it floating around on Twitter, and I wanted to say a few things because for those of you who are aware of the anime My Hero Academia and I need to catch up, there's a particular character that seems to have some conscious symbolism to his name. Now, he is a villain, he's a very particular doctor, should we say, and I wanted to give my thoughts on the situation as to what was going on, as well as possibly give some insight that I don't think people have brought or a different perspective, if you will. And no, let me just first start off saying I don't agree that the name should have been changed. So the character in question that's having a name change in the future publications and in the show is named Maruta Shiga. Now, forgive me if I mispronounced that. So let's go over his wiki. His appearance is Maruta is an old man of short stature. He's completely bald and has a very large mustache. He wears rather peculiar goggles. He looks very similar to Dr. Tsubasa, the doctor who told Izuki. I'm sorry, it's been off of my Japanese. Izuku Midoriya that he was quirkless. So his personality, Murata is an eccentric and deranged scientist who dutifully follows All for One's will. All for One is the villain of My Hero Academia. He fought All Might. Give me 1 second for this name. Giganto Machia, he didn't believe Tamara Shinogaki was yet worthy of succeeding All for One. And for those of you who don't remember who Tamara was, he's the guy with all the hands all over his face. And he's also, spoilers, All Might's mentor's grandson. I don't remember All Might's mentor's name. But due to a compromise he made with his former master, he's willing to give Tamura the chance to prove him wrong. Once Tamura exceeded his expectations by defeating the Meta Liberation Army and getting Gigan Tomochiya to submit, he accepted him as All for One's successor. Motora is very prideful of his Namu creations, referring to them as children. And for those of you who don't know what this character does exactly in the show, he works for the League of Villains or whatnot, and he pretty much does bio experiments on people. So let me actually see, because I believe that's what the Namu are. I haven't watched the show up to that point just yet, so this character is new for me. For those of you who haven't seen it up to this point, spoilers, obviously. Sometimes referred to as artificial humans, Namu are powerful monsters created when humans have their bodies altered in order to hold multiple quirks from All for One. And we've already seen this particular one. I remember this on the attack, I believe, on the training grounds. The aforementioned human experiment ceases all brain function and requires commands from a superior in order for them to act. So pretty much this is what Maruta created for the League of Villains. Let's see. And regarding the High-End Ones as masterpieces, he treats Namus as offerings for All for One, although he has allowed some of them to be used by Tanwa under his former master's wishes. So pretty much he's a doctor that commits very much biological experiments on various people, and as we now see what the Namu are. So let's look at what the big controversy is if you guys don't quite understand it just yet. And yes, do not spare me. The only reason why I'm using this particular source, it's one of a couple, so chill out. I'll be using Anime News Network because they have a quote in there. Settled down, said, I know they're not very credible, but I'm using a couple different websites here, so chill out just a bit. Okay, so this particular one is by abacusnews.com. Hit manga My Hero Academia removed in China over war crimes reference. Okay, a villain's name references Japanese biowarfare Black Ops Unit 731 that experimented on and killed thousands of Chinese and Koreans in World War II. So that's what Maruta means, victim. And I actually want to show you a tweet somebody put out. I do not know where this person is based, but they looks like they speak Japanese and Chinese. And this is what they have to say. Please don't harass this person. I showed this for a reference because I really want to talk about this. Why is the name of that villain should be Maruta? Maruta is the victim of Japanese biochemical experiments during World War II. And they're showing like the references, real references here. The name reminds East Asians of the Holocaust by Japan during World War II. Victims of Japanese occupations are still alive. My grandparents sleep in the next room, or one of them, and for that, I'm very sorry. Actually, I will say one thing here right now. When I was going through high school, I only learned about the Jewish Holocaust that Hitler was doing. I didn't even know the Japanese were doing something similar during that time. So this is actually new information for me too. The Holocaust, whether it's Jews, Chinese, Koreans, right now China's doing one of the Muslims, it's all horrific stuff. When you go and read about it, the various ones, there's always medical experimentation. I mean, I know for the Jewish Holocaust, it was actually recorded and documented that you heard screams throughout the concentration camps because of what doctors were doing to the Jewish prisoners. And so apparently Japan did something similar to Koreans and Chinese, which I did not know, by the way. This name reminds East Asians of the Holocaust by Japan during World War II. Victims of Japanese occupation, or I already read that, I do apologize. Let me translate this. So they're reading this in their language. The name long reminds us of painful memories. Please change your name. Excuse me, let me take a minute. Tito Koshi had intended to criticize. He had to use the name of the perpetrator, Unit 731. I'm not sure what the name is right there. Excuse me, I cannot read that language. I believe it's Japanese or Chinese. I don't know, to be honest. Not the victim, Maruta, to the villain. It's like naming Anne Frank to a character made by comparing Hitler. It doesn't make sense. Now, I don't know if it's their English is a little bit off. That particular sentence doesn't make sense to me. It's like naming Anne Frank to a character made by comparing Hitler. I kind of get what they're trying to say. Now, keep in mind, too, because I actually did something interesting, and I looked up Tito Koshi's birth year. World War II ended in 1945. Now, Tito Koshi wasn't born until 1986. It's not 2020, so that's 34 years ago, and I know nothing about Japanese schooling. I don't know what they teach. I really don't. So for all I know, this could have been taught in Tito Koshi's class, and it's something that he subconsciously remembered and injected into the show. Now, this is why I wanted to cover this, because I literally just had a conversation with my husband about when you write, when you draw, when you do music, when you create any type of media, whether you are consciously aware of it or subconsciously aware of it, you are injecting things that you heard about, stuff that influences you, stuff that you want to express into your form of medium that you are working on or working with, and that becomes a certain type of media. So with this, it's because I did make sure I had my dates right, and if we can talk about it a little bit too, because I was kind of curious about this, whether or not Tito Koshi, if his family was involved in what was going on or being done to the Chinese and Koreans, or just like with the Jewish Holocaust, if you guys did not know a little bit of fact, Hitler not only put the Jews in a camp, but he also put anybody who was considered below standard, gay, mentally handicapped, disabled. So he put his own German citizens in these Holocaust camps as well, or excuse me, concentration camps as well, if they did not meet his standards. I think I mentioned this on my channel here before, that if you got sick, if you were in Germany at that time, the government had a strict control on how the parents raised the kids, what names, and if your child fell sick, they had to get better within a certain time or they were taken away. So I do not know if this is the case also for the Japanese Holocaust done to the Chinese and Koreans, if Japanese citizens were also put into or tortured the same way that the Chinese and the Koreans were if they did not meet a certain standard. So I was kind of curious about this, and so far I have not been able to find very much information. For those of you who are my Japanese followers, Koreans, Chinese, if I do have any, or if anyone has any knowledge of this, please put it in the comment section down below, because this will actually be very interesting to hear about and learn about. So to continue on to what I was saying is, for all we know, Tito Koshi could have a history or personal influence subconsciously that got injected to My Hero Academia. Now, is it wrong for the name to be used? No. It's the name of a villain, and again, as I stated, and this is actually proven, especially with illustrations and art, you can actually find this mentioned in any books on animation, is when you are drawing it, you are put into an alternate state of subconsciousness. And so that means that whatever you're going through at the time, it's going to come through out on your paper, whether it's through the emotions of the character, through some sort of symbolism, whatever you're drawing, whatever you're doing, it's going to come out in an alternate state of consciousness. So the reason why I want to bring this up is because Tito Koshi is obviously Japanese, born, 86. He was born at 21 years after World War II ended. More than likely was taught about it through schooling and probably subconsciously subjected it into My Hero Academia. I don't see an issue with it. I know American culture is different from Asian culture, whether it be Chinese, Filipino, Korean, Japanese. So I'm not going to pretend to be an expert of those. I know they treat things differently. But in my opinion, what Tito Koshi could have been done was subconscious, because he's quoted saying, "I was not intentionally trying to make historical or war references from what happened back then." And for all we know, Tito Koshi could have had a personal relative that was involved in that stuff or was negatively influenced by that stuff or impacted. We don't know. So everybody jumping on Tito Koshi's case is ridiculous. You people are wrong for doing it. We don't know the true intentions. It wasn't done consciously. It wasn't done intentionally to bring about any pain. Now, Tito Koshi did apologize. And I'm going to go over to the Anime News Network article. Relax, chill out. There's a quote here I just want to look at. Let's see. And this is a different person's, forgive me, I'm not really up to date with the pronunciation. I'm going to try Shueisha's message, also including an additional apology from My Hero Academia creator, Kohei Hiroko, by using the name Maruta Shiga in chapter 259 of My Hero Academia. I deeply offended a great number of readers. I am truly sorry about this. The character, with deep reverence and wanting to feel closer to the League of Villains' former boss, All For One decided to take part of All For One's last name, Shidagaki, and make it his own, Shiga. So Maruta and Shiga is a combination of different names that has also been documented. I gave him the first name Maruta because he's round and plump, which Maruta means short and fat. Any other meaning is coincidental, and I had absolutely no intention of hurting so many readers, which I now know I did. I apologize from the bottom of my heart. Going forward, I will do my utmost to make sure that this sort of thing never happens again. Kohei Hiroko. Now, there's another article that I wanted to bring up, and I believe, oh, here it is. This is actually written by Hirohei's media. It's calling Fascism Academy. Now, here's something too, and this is why I really feel Tito Koshi's family could have been a part of the World War II or negatively impacted by it and heard stories from his family and his school. So here's a screenshot of a tweet, and this is from 9net.com, And again, Hiroki's own medium, I believe. And you have these dates circled and they're referenced. One of them, I guess, is referencing Adolf Hitler's birthday. Another one is an event. Again, I can't read. This looks like it's Korean mixed with Japanese, mixed with Chinese. I'm not fluent in any of those languages. I tried to take a Japanese class in high school, and that kind of failed because I transferred to so many different schools. But after Tito Koshi apologized, you now have people digging through the show and the characters' information, birthdays, bio for more stuff to complain about. Again, I think these were all subconscious things. I don't think Tito Koshi meant to hurt anybody. I personally don't care. I really don't. Not because what happened doesn't affect me directly, but because I don't see an issue with symbolically representing something. To me, the fact that the villain represented what the Japanese kind of did to the Chinese and it's portrayed in a negative light, I don't see any issue with that because what happened from the sounds of it, just with a little bit of it, it is horrible. It was wrong. But to make a villain out of it, I don't see anything wrong with it either. I mean, again, it seems like it's a subconscious reference. So, writers do this all the time. Magicians do this all the time. Illustrators do this all the time. This is nothing new. So, for people to squawk and scream about it, I think is freaking ridiculous. I really do. And I hope he doesn't. Here's the thing about the Japanese, because a lot of people saying that he shouldn't apologize. If you have taken any Japanese classes, read anything about Japanese culture, they are very respectful. They have a deep sense of integrity, respect for their fellow human being. So for Tito Koshi to apologize, this is part of his culture coming out and going, hey, I'm truly sorry. I did not mean to offend. I just want everybody to enjoy my work. And there's nothing wrong with that. But as we've seen, anytime you have a media outlet, producers, directors apologize, bend the knee, as we here in America put it, because that is, in my opinion, an American expression that I've seen used just by anybody here in the U.S., it gets worse. And it has gotten worse because now people going out of the way to find things on the show to nitpick, to complain. Again, everything that Tito Koshi did, I think, was on a subconscious level. I don't think it was on purpose. Honestly, I have no issue with it. There's nothing wrong with referencing something in another form of medium, whether it's your own personal experiences, whether it's something you heard about, whether it's something you feel strongly about. And let me say this as well. There's a difference between making a reference to it versus beating the audience over the head with it. So let me just put that in there. Because I know certain movies right now overly expressed certain things, and now they have bombed. Birds of Prey is one of them. So hopefully this video didn't sound too convoluted or too rambly. I just wanted to give my thoughts because we don't know the history of Tito Koshi. We don't know why these references were subconsciously put into the show. Do I think it's a bad thing? No, I don't. Was it a tasteful thing? Honestly, don't see anything wrong with it. Again, for all we know, Tito Koshi could have had family members that were personally involved in what happened to the Chinese and Koreans. And for all we know, because I can't pull up any information on it right now, he could have had personally family members that were negatively impacted by 731 or by Maruta, the Holocaust that was done to the Chinese and Koreans. Because like I said, like the Jewish Holocaust, you had German citizens thrown into these concentration camps as well if they were disabled, gay, mentally handicapped. So if they didn't meet the standard, they went into these gulags as well. So and that, for all we know, that could have happened to the Japanese citizens during this particular Holocaust too. Nobody is wanting to dig into the information. Yes, it's sort of a bunch of hurt. It's sort of a bunch of stuff. And you know what? Sometimes that is perfectly okay. Let's have a conversation about it, not demonize the freaking artist over it. Why can't people just talk anymore? Yes, it's gonna get passionate. Yes, it's gonna get heated. But oh my freaking gosh, learn to freaking talk about it. You know what's cool? Like I said before, and I'll end it here. I did not know there was a Japanese Holocaust or the Japanese did that to the Chinese Koreans. I had no idea because it wasn't taught during school. World War II for American education for it was in high school for me was the Great Berlin Wall, the Cuban Missile Crisis. You had the Tuskegee Airmen. You had, and forgive me, I forget the Japanese airmen during that time because yes, we had a Japanese unit, Japanese American. Um, and then we heard about obviously the Jewish Holocaust as like the main chunk of what you learn about in World War II over here. At least it was during the time when I was in high school. So the fact that now, hey, I have a bit more knowledge of what happened to other countries during World War II, that's something. Make a conversation, talk about it. It's like, hey, this brings up her. Did you guys know this? There was a Holocaust over here too. Have a conversation. My goodness, quit demonizing people. And I understand there's a tasteful way to do things, and some things shouldn't be brought up again. Some things should be left alone. But honestly, teach people about it. Don't demonize the freaking artist about it. And then don't make him change stuff. What he didn't do anything wrong. Anyway, that's enough ranting for me. I hope that you guys understand what I'm trying to portray here. Do not spare me for using Anne's article. I wanted to show something in that particular article. I will post Hiroki's Medium. I don't know if it's just him by himself writing that or if other people, I don't know, but it's going to be in the description. The Abacus one is going to be in the description. And yes, I'm going to stick Anne's in the description. I know, just don't hate me for it. Any reference I use, I put in the description. I'm also going to put the link to that particular tweet. Do not go harass this person. I wanted to show what they were portraying, and I thank them for it because it offers a different perspective. And anyway, though, you guys have a wonderful night, and hopefully the situation gets better for Tito Koshi. So.